Hi everyone, hope your week's going okay. There was one evening this week, it was about 7 o'clock in the evening when my husband Natan saw me and he says to me, "It's 7 o'clock in the evening, why are you walking around with earplugs in?" And I just looked at him and said, "I don't understand, why are you not walking around with earplugs in?" So I think that basically sums up my life at the moment. So this week's Sedra is Parshas Bo. It's a very exciting Sedra. There's loads of stuff in it. So we have the final 3 plagues in Mitzrayim before we are off on our journey next week in Beshalach. And we have the first mitzvah. The mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh is given to us. So it's the first mitzvah we receive as a nation. And we have all the intricate laws of Korban Pesach, because Hashem tells Moshe that we're making plans now, we're about to get going. He says, I'm about to do the last plague on Makas Bachoros, killing of the firstborns, and what you are going to be doing during this plague, or in the lead up to this plague, and getting ready all the people to go, I want all the Jewish people to take a lamb, which was actually one of the Egyptian gods. It was quite a big statement to take a lamb, tie it to your bedpost for 4 days. And again, that's probably going to draw quite a lot of attention to you all having a lamb inside your home bleating away. And on the 4th day, on the 14th of Nisan, that night at twilight, you're going to shecht the lamb and publicly and take its blood, and you're going to brush it onto the lintel of your home, the bit above the door, and onto the mezuzahs of your home, onto the actual doorway. And Hashem says to Moshe, this is going to be a sign for you that I am going to see, and I will pass over your home. I will know it's a Jewish home, and then I will save you. I'm not going to come into the Jewish homes to kill the firstborns, only to the Egyptian homes. So the question that occurs to me is, and not just to me, to other Mefarshim as well, why is it a sign for us? Why do we need a sign that it's our home? We know it's our home, we live there. And why does Hashem need to see the blood on our doorpost? Because we all know Hashem's got X-ray vision. He can see into our home. He knows if it's a Jewish home or not. Why does he need to see the blood on the doorpost? What is all that about? So Rashi answers really nicely. He says, Hashem is saying to Moshe, it's a sign for you. It's a sign for the Jewish people. It's not for anyone else. It's for your own personal knowledge that you have a Jewish home. And the very act of you identifying your home as Jewish and keeping all these very intricate laws that are telling you about how to prepare the Korban Pesach and how to eat the Korban Pesach and all the details, and keeping exactly to the exact specification. We know there's loads and loads of laws about it. And doing all of that shows me that you are identifying as Jewish, that you want to have a Jewish home, that you want to be a part of this nation. Therefore, I'm going to skip over your house. I will save you. On that night that I'm killing everyone else, you will be saved. You and all the people that are in your home with you. So it's interesting. Pesach is one of the best kept Yomim Tovim of all of them, I think. However, little else you keep in Judaism, it's one of those festivals that a lot of people do really strongly identify with and do keep in some form. Most people have some kind of Seder night. So why is it that people identify with this particular festival so strongly? I think it's obvious. It's like the beginning of us as a nation. It's got a good storyline. It's a nice time to get together with the family. So it makes sense that people keep Pesach. But why do we actually call it Pesach, which means to pass over? Hashem passed over our houses. We could have called it the splitting of the sea. We could have called it redemption. Something that kind of means a bit more in the story. Why is this so significant that Hashem passed over our houses? So again, why did we say he passed over each house? Because it had this blood on the doorpost. And the word used is mezuzah. And we think we know what the word mezuzah means because it's, we use the word mezuzah a lot. And it's actually, again, one of those very well kept mitzvahs that most people who are even remotely Jewish identify with. Most Jewish homes have a mezuzah, even if they're keeping nothing else. So most people, when you say mezuzah, this is what they think of. But actually, the first place that the word mezuzah occurs is here, where it's talking about a doorpost. So we call this a mezuzah because it goes on the mezuzah of a door. It goes on the doorpost. So it got me thinking, so if this, we just call this mezuzah, but actually doorpost is the correct translation. Where does that translation even come from? So I was thinking that it sounds to me that the root for the word mezuzah is zuz, which means to move. And mezuzah is something which moves. It's an object which moves or causes to move. So it makes sense in terms of a door because it's actually the pivotal point that gets the door to be able to turn because it's attached to the doorpost. But I think you can also read a bit more into it in that it's at the point where you're changing from one domain into another. You're moving from a public space outside your home into the private space inside your home. And as you make that transition where you're going from the public to the private space inside your home, you've got this mezuzah on the doorpost. And I think what the point of a mezuzah is, it's almost like a contract between you and Hashem. So I think in the same way as some people put up their marriage kesuvah, their marriage contract on their wall and display it. So I think similarly, we are displaying our contract with Hashem. We're saying that this is a Jewish home and this is like a testimony of our relationship with Hashem. Because once I close my front door and the rest of the world is shut out, the inside of my home is private. No one else knows what goes on in here. Only me, my immediate family, and Hashem. And in the mezuzah, it contains everything that you need to know to have that relationship with Hashem and to identify your home as Jewish. So actually, inside a mezuzah is a parchment, and on the parchment are the words of Shema. So it's the first two paragraphs of Shema, and I think, it's a classic Jewish prayer that most people know very well, and in it is really everything that you need to know. So number one, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hashem is one. He is the only thing that is in control of everything. There is nothing else. Number two, V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha, v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'edecha, that you shall love Hashem with all your heart and soul and your possessions. It's interesting to note that this pivotal prayer, we talk about love for Hashem. And I think that's key, that in your home, in your relationship with Hashem, you're supposed to have this warm, fuzzy feeling. You're supposed to love him and feel loved, like he's there for you, he's supporting you, and it's a warm, loving relationship. Number three, Vishanantam levanecha, you should teach your children about Torah and mitzvahs. Number four, ukashartem laos, and again, it's the same word os as the sign that he's talking about in Mitzrayim, painting it on your doorpost. You shall bind it to you as a sign. So that's talking about the mitzvah of tefillin, that men literally, physically wrap this mitzvah around themselves daily. And number five, the final one, which I think is quite ironic, is chesavtom al mezuzos beisecha, that you shall have a mezuzah. You should write a mezuzah and have it at the entrance to your home, because inside every mezuzah is the commandment to have a mezuzah. Remember to remind yourself that it's a sign for you as you are about to walk in that my home is a Jewish home. So as you stand at the entrance to your home, just take a moment whilst you kiss the mezuzah and think, what is awaiting me on the other side? It could be that your house is mayhem at the moment and you've got loads of children doing homeschooling, and that is what awaits you on the other side. It could be that you're living alone and you've got an empty home on the other side of that door, and you're longing for some company which isn't there. But one thing to remember as you kiss your mezuzah is that any Jewish home with a mezuzah is not empty. Hashem is in everyone's home, and the mezuzah stands as a testimony of that relationship that we're building with Hashem in our home. And it's the mezuzah that saved us in Mitzrayim, putting that on our front door and saying we are Jewish, we identify as Jewish. And maybe at this time when we're all stuck at home and having to focus on our home, maybe that focusing on our home life and making it a warm Jewish environment, maybe that's what's going to save us now. Have a very good Shabbos.